Hey everybody, happy Father's Day. I'll be over to pick you up in a few minutes, Jim. Just want to get this thing uploaded. First, I really want to show you this cool model that Shannon got me. Shannon's my wife. It's a Porsche 911 flat six boxer engine. It's the very first version of the six-cylinder 911 engine, so it's the smaller displacement. It's like the one that was in the car in the mid-60s, and it's a really neat model. All of the internals are there, or most of them, and everything is working, and then you can push a button down here and it'll actually good. And you can see the spark plugs glow red when you be getting your power stroke. And the soundtrack is kind of silly, but all of the valves actually move, and it's really neat. It was very fun and fascinating for me to build this, especially because I'm going to be overhauling not just the 82 911 SC engine, but I'm also going to be first overhauling the engine in a Volkswagen Beetle, because I've never overhauled an engine before. And it's going to be something I should probably learn a little bit before I dig into the 911. And so the VW Beetle's going to be my sacrificial lamb. I love that little toy. Thanks again, honey. So today I'm wearing my Scorpion King film crew shirt, being a little nostalgic. It's pretty cool because, see if you can see on the back, it's got a scene of it's Dwayne Johnson with a sword. So what can be wrong with that? And I thought Scorpion King was kind of a good movie, for just being a popcorn sort of fare. There was another movie that I watched with I just wanted to love it so much. And that was a movie called All Is Lost. It's got Robert Redford, and he says like 3 words in the whole movie. It's just about this guy on his sailboat. And I was fascinated by that because I know I didn't do enough stupid, dangerous things with all the motorcycles and skidding cars around and all of that. I also had got an attraction to boating. And it was because a friend of mine, who I shouldn't name, but I'm going to. Hi, Mikey. Mikey Verning. When we met, I was about 18, and he had a sailboat. His dad was a sailor, so he just naturally got into it. And it was this really old Columbia 26. It was built really heavily, but it was slow, and it was really tiny inside. And we would take that thing, I think he had it in Redondo Beach. And we would take it from Redondo Beach and sail it across to a little island called Catalina. And they've got a tiny little town there with one restaurant. Actually, they have a big town down on the other end called Avalon, but we would pretty much avoid Avalon. We kind of liked another place called Isthmus because there was very few problems. I mean, in Isthmus, the real law enforcement was the Harbor Patrol guys, and they were the kind of guys that carried dog biscuits on their boats, and if you got a little too liquored up, they would, instead of letting you take your little dinghy back out to your boat, they just drive you out there in the official Harbor Patrol boats, and that was just normal. So we liked the Isthmus a little better, but that got me into this whole boating thing. And I started out, I had a power boat, and that's what I was on when they asked me on Hook about if I lived on a boat and put me in charge of making the sails. And I didn't even live on a sailboat. I knew about sailing. One time with Mikey, I had just bought a Catalina 30 sailboat, which they're like the Toyota Camry of sailboats. They're everywhere. And I had only had it probably for a few days, and was all excited to take it to Catalina. And Catalina is a nice sail. It's about, the song says it's 26 miles, but it depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from Long Beach, it's maybe 23 miles. If you're coming from Marina del Rey, it's like 45 or 50 miles, and various other marinas. And this time we were coming from Marina del Rey. So Catalina 30 is not a very fast boat. We got to the island. We had a lovely 3 or 4 days and lots of fun, just doing stupid things, as you can imagine. And then on the way back, we had been using the head on the boat, and I was very, I don't know, I felt very cringy about having a big tank of what you can imagine from the toilet sloshing around as we're, you know. I wanted to dump it, and you have to be a certain number of miles away from any land in order to legally dump those things. So instead of heading parallel with the island and going north towards where I wanted to be, Marina del Rey, instead I headed towards directly away from the island to get as far away from the island as quickly as possible, rather than heading towards my destination, because I'm an idiot. Got far enough off the island to dump the tank, then I was happy. Then I start heading the direction I want. And the whole time, my friend Mikey's on board, and he knows what he's doing. And he says, "Why are you doing this? We're going to get caught behind the peninsula." And I just said, I got to get this poop off the ship. I got to do it. No, Mikey, being an easygoing guy he is, okay, you're a dumbass, but okay. I got us stuck behind the Palos Verdes Peninsula, which meant, because of the wind conditions, now we have to start tacking back out to get out around this peninsula to get up the coast of California where we want to go. Stupid mistake. So it made what should have been maybe a 7-hour trip. Now it's going to be more like a 14-hour trip. Problem with that is, as the day wears on, a little weather front starts to come in. We've seen these clouds come in, and I don't have a GPS. This was when GPS was just coming out. So I had a GPS that I had in my car, but I didn't have any normal GPS for a boat like you would expect nowadays. The weather front came in right as it got dark. So not only did it get dark, but it got foggy. And I mean bad foggy. Like I couldn't see the front of the boat, and it's a 30-foot boat. So I have Mikey go up and stand just ahead of the mast. And now we're motoring. We've taken down the sails because there's no wind. It's just foggy and drizzling and dark. So now we're motoring along, and it's a diesel, so it's kind of noisy. And Mikey and I have the discussion that he's going to be the lookout up against the mast. And if he screams, he's going to have to scream for me to hear him over the motor. If he screams to get my attention, he's supposed to point the direction I'm supposed to turn. Don't point at the obstacle. Point at the direction you want me to turn. That's all we need to know. Okay, good. We're good on that. So he goes up, and we continue to motor north. And I don't have a GPS, and it's foggy. I know I told you that. I don't know where I'm going. I can't see anything. And I'm looking for the entrance to a marina that's probably still 6 or 7 miles away. I didn't want to miss the marina, so I was purposely kind of cutting closer to the shoreline. We're heading north up the coast of California. So I keep heading a little bit more to the right than I really feel like I should, but I don't want to miss the opening to the marina. And I know it sticks out. They have jetties that stick out into the ocean a ways. So if I stay fairly close to shore, I shouldn't miss it, even in this fog. The problem with that plan is the boat, I'm trying to stay close in, and every now and then I look over to the right gunwale and I can see a wave starting to break, which means I'm way too close to shore. This boat pulls about 6 feet at the center, and at that point where the waves are breaking, it's probably about 6 feet. So, oh lordy, I'd see that wave breaking. Oh, turn and pull us back out, and then I could hear the waves sometimes. And when I'd hear them, I was like, oh, but the scariest times were when I would actually be able to look through the fog and see the waves starting to break. Oh, go back out. When you get close to Marina del Rey, it's the end of a thing called Bologna Channel or something like that. And a lot of the guys that don't want to pay for their slip will just anchor out there, because you can anchor out there for free. As we come into that area, that means now there's all sorts of boats anchored in this fog. I was terrified and relieved all at the same time, because once we got into this group of anchored boats, I knew where I was. But then I was terrified because I knew where I was. And there's these derelict boat, and usually the boats anchored out there, they're not that nice boats. Though they're no. So you really don't want to run into one of these derelict boats and have any sort of interaction with. It's just a bad idea. So now I'm like, oh, now we really have to watch out for hitting one of these crazy guys. And I don't know how we did it, but finally came up to the break wall, and we had to go out way farther than I was expecting to actually get to the end to make it around and get back into the marina. And that was my first trip to Catalina as the guy in charge of the boat. And yet Mikey went with me many times after that. I could tell you about a couple more of those, but the movie All Is Lost, it just sucks. Everything he does makes someone that's been boating and been a sailor and been responsible for the well-being and all of that. Everything he does makes someone that knows anything go, what are you thinking? He hits a floating shipping container and he leaves. He leaves. It's a floating shipping container and it punched a hole in the side of your vessel. Why would you leave until you have your vessel fully repaired? From the very beginning, it's just stupid. And everything he does in that movie is stupid. And it makes me feel much better now, because it just frustrated me no end. It makes me feel better to rant about it right now. So thanks for that. Well, that's my boating story. I might tell others. I don't know. You know, if you want to watch a good movie, the way I look at it is I look for the photographer first. I really appreciate thoughtful and beautiful photography. And you can't go wrong with a movie where the director of photography is Roger Deakins. Anytime you see him as director of photography, you know, even if the movie sucks, it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. So, thanks for that, Roger. Hey, I'm going to go get you, Jim. I'll see you shortly. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.